Welcome everyone to the 2019 NWWQA Selection Show, brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Miles Plant Realty. I'm Ed alongside Uncle Jay, here getting ready to break down the entire tournament for all of you at home.
It's an exciting time of year here, Ed. I can't wait to take a look at what the committee has for the final rankings.
You know we are the committee, right?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Alright, let's get right into it. We start off with the final 7 teams to qualify for this year's tournament. We have yet another expansion season as we move to a total of 22 teams this year. The first group consists of teams with little experience as well as a couple of newcomers. Honestly, most of them are just happy to be here. Coming in at 22, we have the return of the Salty Dogs, last seen in tournament in 2017.
Yeah, they make a return to the tournament after a year off. Word on the street is they took the year off as they had a split up after the 2017 season. They went through some Quoit counseling with a couple of the league's best, Smokin' Joe and Bloodflow Rose, and now their team chemistry is at an all-time high. They look to do better than their 1-9 record from 2017.
Yeah, that's a beautiful record. Next up, we have a couple of new teams. At 21, Super Stache Brothers, and at 20, Cheyenne and Tracy.
Yeah, it's Quoit season. It's also Muzzy season at the same time. Limited reports for the Super Stache Brothers makes it difficult to predict how they will fare. As for Cheyenne and Tracy, rumor has it they've been practicing with a couple of the Monson Quoit legends in preparation for this year's debut. They, without question, could be one of this year's sleepers with the training regimen the Monsons have them on.
So, as we move up the rankings, the next team is an interesting team. Mo Mary, Mo Problems.
Yes, absolutely. An inside source informed me that Hudson actually participated in an unsanctioned NWWQA event and took home first place with rival Flossie Magaletta on her side. Rumor has it they played a couple of the Monsons in the final match, but without any footage of this, we're unable to confirm. Last year on tourney day, this team let the big stage get to them as they finished with a 1-7 record and seemed to be more interested in completing interviews than they did competing. If they can focus on the big day this time, they absolutely have the potential to move up the ladder.
I agree with you there, Jay. This team can get their mindset right. They're definitely one of my picks to take a step forward this year. Sliding in ahead of Mary's in the ranking is another new team, the Savants.
Once again, we have limited knowledge on this pairing. My partner Wes has informed me that he has been training them in his spare time. Receiving training from the multiple-time champ and multiple-time shithead of the year is a double-edged sword, however. This has Cinderella story or disaster story written all over it.
Yeah, we all remember the previous Wes and Friends team that came and crashed and burned. Hopefully the Savants will have a better showing. Just ahead of them at 17, we have another returning team, this one with the team name change.
Yes, after a year off, Mansfield and Sarmanian find their way back to play under the rubber dome, this time as the Auto-erotic AsphyxiQuoitin. You know what, let's just call them AA for short, because that's where they belong anyways.
Fair enough. And at 16, to round out this group, we have returning team from their debuts in 2018, Team N Suds.
This team is a couple of competitors for sure. Sodergren has been known to take a hit like the best of them, and he can take the hit of last year's 3-5 record into this tourney. As they hope to bounce back, they might contend for a wild card in this year's playoffs.
Right, so that will finish out the final 7 teams that made the tournament this year. Any final thoughts before we move on here, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, that being said, it wouldn't completely surprise me if one of these teams catches fire in this year's event and sneaks into the playoffs. As we all know, it's about getting hot at the right time. A couple of these teams have the chance to do that over the course of a few games. It's kind of like a 13 to 16 seed in March Madness. You might find the team that gets hot, and you might find a few rounds, but eventually they'll run into a powerhouse that'll knock them down.
Well said. Yeah, the hot hand, you gotta have 2 people throwing with the hot hand. I mean, one person, you can't really carry the whole team there. Maybe we'll see him make one of the Elite Eight this year as a stunner. Who knows? Tourney format will be the same as last year, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's take a quick look at that. So there are 22 total teams this year. However, even with the expansion, there will be an additional regular season game as well. So each team will have 7 regular season matchups. As always, the playoff seedings will be decided by your team record and then second by Quoit differential. The top 12 teams will be considered in the playoffs. The playoff format will remain the same as last year as shown. It is crucial to be a higher seed as it becomes much tougher to continue on in the playoffs to the championship further down the rankings. The top 6 teams will automatically be in the final group of 8 teams. Seeds 7 and 8 will have to compete in a 1-game playoff game to advance. Seeds 9 through 12 will have to compete in 2 1-game playoffs in order to advance. So you definitely don't want to be in that bottom 9 through 12.
That's some good stuff there. We have had teams in the past get hot in the playing games, so it is possible to go all the way and win the tournament. All right, so let's move on to the 11 to 15 seeds, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
This group is filled with a bunch of bubble teams that all have chances of sneaking into the playoffs and partially should not be taken for granted in the regular season. We'll start this grouping off with a couple of Wildcats.
Yeah, this pair of UNH alums calling themselves the Black Rose Boys this year seem to consistently do their best work off the slate. Righty, who has been in the tournament since the inaugural year, has the all-time record for most open board finds, and that is a big reason for his lack of success in the tournament. That being said, stay clear of this tandem between matches, as they have been known to derail other teams with their alcohol consumption methods.
Couldn't have said it better. Yeah, I think most of them fallen victim to that duo and seen our life flash before our eyes. Speaking of flashes, next up at 14, Flash and Not Diesel. What's going on here?
Yeah, well, it's unclear if Diesel has appealed his 1-year suspension with the committee or is sitting out to a recently suffered conky during non-quating activities. Nevertheless, Flash will be playing alongside a new teammate this time around and will likely face an uphill battle. Luckily, his partner is not a complete stranger to the slate, but he has never played under the pressure of the rubber dome.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how the rubber dome looks.
It sure is a thing of beauty, isn't it?
Oh yeah. So maybe we can get a glimpse of it later in the program. Moving on to our next team, we find the new Quoit Outlaws.
So after a 3-8 record with a minus 38 Quoit differential in their 2017 debut, the new Quoit Outlaws improved to a 4-4 record and had a plus 11 Quoit differential in 2018 and snuck into the playoffs as the final seed in. Without question, one of the biggest improvements year over year. With another year of experience under their belt, we'll see if they can have another year of improvement.
I didn't even know they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And next up, we have a couple of Quoit prodigies with the Force.
Yeah, prodigies indeed. This team is looking for redemption after missing last year's playoffs and running over the consolation bracket. Speaking of prodigies, this duo is now a trio, and we have another Quoit prodigy on our hands in Jackson Brady. What a name, huh, Ed?
Yeah, just screams champion, doesn't it? As head of player and development, I already have him as my #1 prospect for the 2037 season.
I don't blame you one bit. On top of that, there has been speculation with the young buck just a tick over 3 months old. Could he have entered the oven at last year's Quoit tourney?
It's a special time of year. Anything can happen at the Quoit tournament.
Special group of people, too.
Special, all right. And rounding out this group, we have the Conquista Quoiters.
Yeah, after dropping his previous partners, Cataldo played with much better in 2018 with the new teammate and Rookie of the Year, Steve DeTesso, on his side. We'll see what DeTesso can bring to his sophomore season as Cataldo adds another year of experience under his belt.
Right. So that does it for seeds 11 to 22. We are guaranteed to have at least 2 of these teams make it to the playoffs this year. It's amazing how the depth and quality of teams continue to grow after a year. We'll continue the top 10 teams after this brief word from our presenting sponsor.
Thinking of moving in the New England area? Be one of dozens of people that Miles Plant Realty has helped move. From the first step to the last, Miles Plant Realty is there for you. Ready to move out? Miles Plant Realty is there to help you move in. Pay less and get less. Pay more and get more. It's really that simple. And for a limited time only, you can get an additional 20% off by using promo code QUOIT20. That's QUOIT20. Miles Plant Realty, an innovator in home buying.
Now we are really getting into it with the top teams here, RJ.
Absolutely.
So coming in at 10, they lost the new Quoit Outlaws, but had a better regular season last year, the Keepers.
Yes, the first all-women's team to make the playoffs is a great thing for the NWWQA. Duplin will be looking for her third straight Cynthia Jean Award, but this time, with the playoff experience under her and parents' belts, they'll be aiming their sights higher as they want to sniff at the ultimate prize. Both having slate in their backyards now, they have increased their training routines tremendously. There has been some rumors that each member has faced some adversity in their training. Chelsea has her hands full. She takes care of a couple of dogs, not to mention 6-time Lady Bing recipient Big Cat Sodergren. As for Duplin, she has taken up a passion for European lifestyle and large lemons. Hopefully these activities won't hold them back to make another playoff experience.
Now, we have a stacked 6 through 9 seeds, don't we, here?
Yeah, holy moly. Every single one of these teams has had a deep run prior in the tourney. And despite not having a Monson last name as a part of any of these rosters, they have a good chance as any to win the title.
So, at number 9, let's take a peek at the Unreliable Alcoholics.
Well, I think their team name says a lot. Unreliable. This has been the issue for this duo. They have had the highest of highs in the regular season, chucking ringers left and right and skunking the Skunks last year, but each year, once the lights shine in the playoffs, they seem to be exactly as their team name reads, unreliable. We know they have been training, but knowing them, they're unreliable, and I bet you they played at 17 feet 9 inches apart. They aren't wasting time doing something smart and playing at regulation distance. Who knows, maybe the committee is wrong in this tournament. They will become known as the Reliable Alcoholics.
Also about them, if you want some free money during the playoffs and you're not in it, you can play them, and they'll give you some free money if you beat them.
Yep,
you beat them.
NWWQA fully supports gambling.
Yes, we fully support gambling, all gambling. So moving on to the 8th in the rankings is my team, the Sweepers. How do you think we'll fare this year?
Well, your team, without question, has come a long way from the butt of the day a few years back, and now, more than ever, is in great physical shape with some of the best conditioning of all teams in the tournament. We've all known about your stamina with your running for years, Ed, but tell us about your partner's new training methods.
Which one, the Jiu-Jitsu or the Mary J? Wishes hope he has competition game face on for the tourney day.
Yeah, with Mike ready to choke someone out now, maybe we should call you guys the Sleepers. Anyways, you guys are one of a handful of teams that has 2 players that have played in every single year of this tournament. So without question, you guys have the tourney experience. Last year you guys ran into 3-time champs, the Skunks, in the playoffs. It seems like you guys always find a tough matchup early in the playoffs, but that's probably what it'll take for you guys to take the next step. It'll be upsetting one of those tough matchups in the playoffs and grab a little momentum as we've seen from you guys before.
Yep, that's the next step for us for sure. I'm feeling good this year.
Yeah, look forward to seeing it.
Next up, coming in at 7, the Guinea Pigs.
A lot to say here. Both players have practiced at the All-Star Quoit Arena in Gilmanton, New Hampshire. Last year, they were out for redemption and came out of the gates swinging. They were only one of 2 teams to finish the regular season with a perfect 6-0 record. Unfortunately for them, they did lose in their first round playoff matchup 2-1. Dorico is one of the game's streakiest shooters. When he is on his A game, he is one of the game's best players. Rose, on the other hand, is one of the game's most consistent players and one of the young rising stars of the league. Rose has the highest battle quoits per game ratio of all of those who are playing in this year's tournament at 0.6 per game. Look for him to also have one of the game's best motors, as he will energize the whole dome when he's playing well.
They certainly don't call him Blood Flow for nothing.
Yeah, not to mention he's last year's Lady Bing Award winner. What an all-around athlete.
Rounding out the grouping and coming in just outside the top 5 seedings, the 2 cockiest players in the tournament, Nick and Vic.
Yeah, I'm already all set with Team All Set. They filed a grievance with the NWWQA committee once they heard about their seeding through a leaked source. The committee immediately disregarded that grievance and actually considered moving them down in the rankings because of it, but they ultimately did not. These 2 for sure are solid Quoiters. I'll give them that. Both former Rookie of the Year winners, but they still have to take another step to make it to the class of the next group. Chucking biscuits less than a handful of times a year, Fonz thinks he's the best Quoiter of all time. They are both true competitors that wear their emotions on their sleeves. This makes for tough competition when they are playing well and get the energy going, but also provides for a comedy show when times are tough and internal battles pursue. After their 3rd place finish last year, they are certainly not a team to take for granted.
Yes, we will leave it all on the field for sure. Speaking of the field, looks like we have a word from our off-site correspondent, Daniel Big Cat Sodergren, live from an unnamed training site. Tell us what you're thinking, Big Cat.
Well, per usual, we have a chance of showers in the forecast. That being said, Commissioner Monson has taken the appropriate action, as always, and we will have the best grounds crew on site. We can also take a look at how Coach Phil has meticulously taken care of the feature court. It has recently been resurfaced and it has never looked better. The stage is set for this to be one of the best tournaments we have ever seen. Bulk up, boys and girls.
Sounds awesome, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Alright, it is time to finish out the rankings with the top 5 seeds. Let's have a look.
At number 5, coming in as the top team never winning a tournament in our rankings, is the 89ers. The past 2 seasons, the 89ers have really brought it to the next level. 2017, in their breakthrough season, they came in 2nd to the over 50 Dynasty in the championship. Last year, they had 3 losses in the whole tournament. 1 to the eventual champs in the regular season, and then 2 in their best of 3 series with the champs, ringers, and dingers in the playoffs. They without question have the best resume of all non-championship teams. Their success may correlate to Big Cat winning 6 straight Lady Bing awards up until 2017, when he finally did not take home the award. Perhaps he had increased his competitive level, and that has really taken him to the next level as a Quoiter. As for Plant, he is still known to have the fastest pitch in the whole league, clocking in some ridiculous speeds of over 100 miles per hour. That being said, he has really dialed in his control over the past few years and has helped them improve tremendously. The one thing they lack is a Monson last name, which has been a part of every champion thus far. If there is a team to change that narrative, this would be the pick.
Next up is the 2017 champions, Over 50 Dynasty.
Over 50 has always been one of the league's top teams. These 2 Quoiters have pitched more quoits than probably any pair in the entire field. After their championship in 2017, 2018 came as a big letdown, losing to the hot, unreliable Alcoholics in the first round of last year's playoffs. Buck is 2nd all-time in battle quoits, and Downing is 3rd all-time in ringers. They bring offense and defense to the table and find themselves ranked amongst the top of just about every statistical category. Downing has played a remarkable 65 games in the tournament history and only has had a total of 3 open board fines. Rumor has it he even has a never miss an open board tattoo on his own hub. They defined the term "in one" with their championship celebration 2 years back and are for sure a crowd favorite.
Just a couple of absolute legends of the game. Following them is none other than the Skunks.
Yeah, ever heard of them? Another juggernaut team right here. The Skunks have had a target on their head ever since their first championship in the inaugural tournament. They're an absolute electric factory when they get rolling. Commissioner Monson can be heard yelling "check it" from Mother's Pizza in Melrose on tourney day. He has checked his hubs at least 5 times a day, every day leading up to tourney day, and never seems to be satisfied.
He isn't the best and most corrupt commish for nothing.
Certainly not. On the other side, Gas Plumber, head of technology for the NWWQA, has increased budget for a special project for this year's tourney. Can't wait to see what's going to happen with that and what is brought to the table. Back to the team. Here's a little stat guy J for you. Skunks, most wins all time with 62. Highest Quoit differential of all time of plus 411. I don't know, is that good? 5 most valuable Quoiter awards combined, and oh yeah, 3 banners. They may have not won the tournament the past few years, but they are certainly one of the last teams you want to run into.
Yeah, I would avoid them at all costs. They're hungry for another title. Next, we ran into last year's runner-ups and 2016 champs, the Sons of Bitches. I heard something was going on with them recently. What sort of info do you have on that?
Well, Ed, news broke sometime last week. The most beloved person in the tournament, Cynthia Jean, ran into some knee issues. Now, Coach Phil did reach out to the farm system, the Sons of Providence bitches, to have a black ace on standby. But, to no one's surprise, the Gilmanton Ironwork native is battling through and is determined not to miss this year's tourney. Phil himself, now fully recovered from his broken rib suffered in the 2016 celebration, looks to get on a roll again. As he always does, live by the hub, die by the hub. That's their motto. 23 ringers combined in their championship run was ultimately what led them to the championship. That was likely the missing piece from last year's tourney, as they only combined for a total of 13. We'll see if that stupid little metal thing gets in their way or it leads them to another banner.
Finally, the number 1 seed, the 3-time champions and current defending champions, your team, Ringers and Dingers. How do you think you guys will do this year? You obviously must feel confident after last year's success.
Yeah, for sure. Feel great as always leading up to the tournament, but you can never take it for granted. This is the toughest title to defend in all of sports, and the past few years have proved that to be true. My partner and I have never seemed to have the same success the year after winning the title. We need to buckle down and really make sure we make every Quoit matter. Saturday is a new day, and you have to throw out all the past stats and start from scratch all over again, just like every other team. That's what makes this the greatest tournament in the world.
Sure does. Thank you everyone for turning into the 2019 selection show. We look forward to seeing everyone on Saturday. Until next time, I'm Ed, and that's Jay. Best of luck at this year's tourney.